Hi YouTube, I was out walking around the shops because what else is there to do on a Wednesday? And I decided to stumble into a big W, thinking I'd find nothing, until...
Hold up, wait, I just hit the jackpot! Hey, I just hit the...
Yeah, that's basically the summary. In my last video, I reviewed the gigantic Thrashers Torvosaurus, and I gave it a pretty good review because it didn't look that bad. I mean, yeah, it didn't really represent Torvosaurus itself, but it could be used as like an Allosaurid or just in general a generic theropod. But this Liopleurodon, I gotta be honest, it's absolutely dog shit. Like, I'm not even trying to hide it, but hear me out. It's good on some note, and I'll go deeper into that later in the video and stuff. From what I gathered in the Jurassic World Survival toy line, they're really hit and miss with their toys, either being pretty good or very bad. And unfortunately, the Liopleurodon is pretty bad. But with all that being said, let's get into the review. God damn it. And that's how I got here. Yep. Alright, let's review this packaging and stuff before we get into the actual figure. As you can see, it has the standard toy what's it called? Toy line whatever. You got the main title of the toy line. You got the T-Rex, the official T-Rex render. Then you got the barcode, it's made by Mattel, it's 4+, and the name of Liopleurodon. As you can see, this button activates what I'm assuming is moving the flippers up and down. And then this button, it's a bit more hidden, but it opens the mouth, which I will get to that soon. You got logo, you got the other logo. Then you move on to this area, and it makes it a bit more clear for the button to be on the side. And as I was right, it moves all 4 flippers up and down, kind of like what it does in real life. Here's the information about the Facts app. And right here is the Torvosaurus, which I last reviewed. And now that's being said, let's open it up. And now we finally have the gigantic Thrashers Liopleurodon. And at first glance, I gotta be honest, I don't really like it. But bear with me. It's still a pretty good design. As we take a closer look at it, it tends to be a bit more smoother on this little snout and bottom jaw, and it does have these little what's it called, little scoots on its eyebrows and stuff, and it tends to have a bit more I'm assuming those are goldfish scales underneath its fenestre. Then it's barely noticeable, but you see like a little transition here. And it does the little alligator thing where it only shows its top teeth. But as you open it, you actually notice that not only does this thing have a lot of teeth, there are actually 2 rows, which I'm assuming is taking inspiration from like a great white shark or something, as they do have multiple rows. If I saw this in the ocean, I would rather take myself out than be eaten by this. This is like a leatherback sea turtle, now that I'm thinking about it. it does look a bit funky once you look at it from the front. Then, as we move from the head to the entire body, this is where my main criticism comes in. The fish scales. And oh dear god, it's covering the entire body. From here to there, it just looks a bit uncanny, as this is supposed to be kind of like, this is supposed to be a pliosaur, who their closest relative, I mean, they're obviously the plesiosaurs, but the ones that they resemble the most are sea turtles. And they should just, and if I was them, I would just give them like sea turtle scales and stuff on not only their flippers but the entire body. Hell, give them like a little shell or something. Okay, I wouldn't go that far, but still. Anything but these fish scales, because it just makes it look like a sea monster. And I'm pretty sure that's what they're going for, but this will obviously like mislead people. Hell, right here, I mean, I'm doing like a little comparison right now. This is the Liopleurodon from Jurassic World Dominion, kind of like 4 years ago. I know I painted this, but the sculpting will show it. It has standard head. Its flippers may be a bit big, but people can still identify it as a pliosaur, especially Liopleurodon. And it gave it the little tail thing. And then its underbelly is not to exaggerate it, as it's flat. Although its body can be a bit more slimmer, but overall it's still a Liopleurodon. If you compare this to this, you wouldn't know what this is, or people would not just believe you that this is supposed to be Liopleurodon. After me ranting about the goldfish scales and stuff, we move on to these flippers, and oh dear god, they're just fish flippers. I'm not joking, these are just fish flippers. You know in Jurassic World Evolution 2 how the Liopleurodon was basically just a crocodile? This is just a fish. No, flat out a fish. This would be like in some Japanese or Chinese or Asian mythology that this was a sea monster. And I would believe them. Because this is just flat out a fish. A crocodile fish. A crocodile with flippers and fish scales. And it gets worse once we look at the bottom. Because what in the goddamn hell is this? This is a keel? Or is this just like loose skin? They don't need this. They don't need this mountain of a chest. It's weird. And not only that, it's painted. Okay, that's a bit personal, but still, if you look closely, you could see like a little bit of paint chip on the little mountain peak. And that's why, because they decided to put a bunch of paint on this little area, which will obviously chip paint. And they really should have made this a bit flatter. And for some reason my copy has this little defect where the tail isn't really in that properly. I don't really know why, but it's just how it is. And as we continue here, we do get, it doesn't really get that much of anything because luckily it's only like these bunch of wrinkles and stuff. So what I gathered is that this is smooth, as well as the entire belly and underneath of the tail. Then once we transition here, it instantly goes into fish scales and stuff. And despite my hatred of fish scales, for like any other creature, it would be a good design. But if this was Liopleurodon, I would absolutely despise it. Unfortunately, it is Liopleurodon because that's literally in the name. No, yeah, I nearly forgot to mention these other details. Besides all of these fish scales and stuff, we do get to see these spikes and stuff, which if they were added to the Liopleurodon without all of these fish scales, I wouldn't mind it. I would rather be a giant crocodile with flippers than a giant fish that's labeled as Liopleurodon. And this part is only where we get the little bumps and spikes and stuff. Then we move down, and then they retransition here, where this is the peak, this is the start, and this is where it ends. And yeah, and from what I counted, there are at least maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors. And despite its horrible sculpt, the colors, they're very simplistic in a good way. Now, this is supposed to be what I'm assuming is kind of like a pale pink. Then we get these orangey eyes with a black dot, unless they're using the same gray with this one, but from what I see, it's basically different. Then we get this greenish dark gray or brown, contrasting with this very beautiful gradient light blue, I'm guessing. And under certain lights it does turn a bit green, but it's pretty nice. Although I wish they did a bit of counter shading, like with many other pliosaurs. They'll usually have counter shading, usually black on the top and white at the bottom. But I'm pretty sure they did that with the Chronosaurs a couple years ago, so they want to do something different. Instead, they made the entire body basically grey, and the top part to be blue, which in my mind I can think of it as sexual dimorphism, as this one is blue to impress the female, or the female is just completely black as camouflage or something. And yeah, that's basically all I have to say about the sculpting and paint details, which I'll probably give like a 5 out of 10 for this one. The sculpting can be on personal opinion or something. This will be like a 6 out of 10 or like a 7 out of 10 because it does look good. What do you think about the sculpting details? Do you like it or do you dislike it? Let me hear your opinions in the comments down below. Now we're here to move on to the little what's it called? The gimmicks part. So we first move to this area, which we see like a very visible button here, which opens and closes the mouth. And it does take a bit of pressure, but I wish they made it a bit more smoother. But I'm pretty sure anyone can press on this, will be able to press on this button pretty easily. Here's at the front. on the side and the top. And that's basically it. Then we have these flippers and stuff, which if you press on it, it will flap its flippers. And not only flap its flippers, but if you look very closely at these little spikes, they actually protrude a bit. What's really ticking me off from this is that they don't exactly like revert back to whatever it's doing, as they'll basically just stay in place. Maybe it's depending on how you have them set up. Nope, they basically just stay in place. Unless you have them literally spread out like this, then maybe that would do something. So from what I gather, it's basically depending on how you have them, because if it's like close to the edge, then they'll most likely just stay in place. But if you have them more spread out like this, then they will flip up and down. One occurring theme that I keep noticing is that the pliosaurs, they always have their back flippers way bigger than their front flippers. And they should either be like all the same size, like what you saw with the Liopleurodon from 2022, or the front flippers should be bigger than the the back flippers should be smaller than the front flippers, like if you just switch them out. Because like with sea turtles, they'll usually have these flippers to guide them, while those bigger flippers at the front to like power their moves and stuff. Kind of like what you see with the plesiosaur. Like right here. You see, you could tell that this flipper is bigger than this one, as they'll basically flap up and down to like power the travel, while these are to like steer the directions. And I don't know why I'm teaching you about anatomy, but I'm just feel like it's a bit important to state here. And I also noticed that the head is extremely small due to its proportions. I'm pretty sure it's because of this gimmick. Because it extends from these back flippers all the way to this area, the gimmick for it to open and close its mouth isn't really an option, because it's basically cramming everything here. So I'm pretty sure they gave it like a big neck and a small head to like cram all of these features in. So if this was planned out a bit better, then I'm pretty sure I'd like it more. But I'd rather give them like at least a 6 out of 10 on both gimmicks. Now let's see what the articulation is like. It's not really much on here since everything occupies it, but you can open its mouth manually. You open it this wide, you close it this much. This is basically the most widest you can open it. And yeah. And then this is pretty hard, because usually the little socket or like turning point should be here, but instead it's on the side, so you can only do this, which is a bit weird, but anywho, you can't really do anything about it. So you could put it down this much, then put it high this much, and then if you turn, and then you could turn it to do a full 360. And then with these back flippers, you could turn it down this much. Then you could raise it up this much. And like with the back flippers, you could still do a full 360. And with the tail, it would obviously be a full 360 swivel. Although it still retains its motion and articulation, it still feels a bit lacking due to some stuff, because the way they designed it, it was suited for them to fit these gimmicks. The one where it flaps its flippers, and the other for it to open and close its mouth. It not only lacks its articulation, but it also makes it look very disproportionate. Like I said, the head is very small compared to its body. But for anyone who wants a Liopleurodon, I would honestly recommend them to buy anything else but this. I mean, it actually depends on personal opinion, but if I was you, I would not buy this. And before I get to the size comparison area, here is the DNA scan code. Size comparison time. Here is the Frenzy Pack Vespasaurus, the Monolophosaurus, the Plesiosaurus, then the Dimetrodon, then we got the Strike Attack Nanotyrannus, Dilophosaurus, Cosmoceratops, and the Morphodon. Then we got the Ultimate Damage Mutodons, then the Wild Roar Ceratosaurus, Pteranodon, Afrovenator, then that Pliosaurus that somehow be better. Then we got the Ultimate Damage Allosaurus, the Charging Carnotaurus, then both gigantic Thrashers, Stegosaurus, Gorgosaurus, and Torvosaurus. In conclusion, this Liopleurodon has to be like the worst toy I've ever seen. It's like nearly competing with the Gorgosaurus. Why? Well, first of all, it does not represent Liopleurodon at all. I mean, if you take a look at the real animal, then this, no one would even recognize it as Liopleurodon. Not even a pliosaur, at most. Instead, they'll just look at this and think of a sea dragon at most. It has the fish scales, which takes it away as a marine reptile. It has a very somewhat disproportionately small head compared to the body, which would obviously throw people off. And its flippers, it's not even a pliosaur, it's just a crocodile with fish features. Especially with the fins. The fins are basically like from a fish. If Mattel were to do like some marine reptile with fish scales, do Ichthyosaurus. I mean, yeah, Ichthyosaurus isn't supposed to have like fish scales and fish features because it's a marine reptile, but Ichthyosaurus literally means like fish lizard or something. So it's basically in the name, and if they somehow do that, then I'll give them credit for it because they're at least trying to stick to the theme of a fish lizard. Basically a fish that adapted into basically a lizard that basically adapted into a fish. This does not represent like Liopleurodon at all. This is just an amalgamation of everything. If I were to rank all 4 Jurassic World gigantic thrasher dinosaurs, then I'll definitely put this at last. Matter of fact, this will be in last place. This Gorgosaurus, which is kind of like dog water, has all these unnecessary armadillo features. Why not put all these armadillo features on like any other dinosaur, like some ankylosaurid or nodosaurid at most? Instead they put it on a tyrannosaurid. And I get that it's like all mutated and stuff, but it just looks off. And this heavily misrepresents what Gorgosaurus is. So I'm putting it in 3rd place. Like here. The Stegosaurus is actually not that bad. Nothing really changed. Actually, no, I have a change of judgment. The Torvosaurus, and yes, I did put it in 1st place in my last video, but like I said, Torvosaurus does not really represent what Torvosaurus is. Instead, it's just like a generic theropod. So I'm just gonna put it in 2nd place. I'm sorry to all of those fans of Torvosaurus in the last video. And Stegosaurus in 1st place, because Stegosaurus actually looks the most normal out of all these 4. It may have like these osteoderms or something, like these giant bumps, but it's not changed at all. I mean, it may have like a shorter or more stubbier head and a parrot beak, but anyone can still recognize it as Stegosaurus. The Torvosaurus, that's something for me to debate on, but it looks so normal compared to the other 2, so I'm putting it in like 2nd place. The Gorgosaurus, yeah, it may have like the normal features. It looks so perfect from the bottom to like this part. This is all good, but once you get to the head, back, and especially the tail, that's where it throws me off. But the Liopleurodon, everywhere throws me off. This mountain peak of a chest, the very small head, and especially the fish features, as well as the crocodile features, like these unnecessary spikes, just ugh. But it does have one point, as this, because it doesn't really represent Liopleurodon, it could be counted as any other, hell, maybe a sea monster. If someone's like into pirates and they see this and like, oh yeah, this is like a very good, I don't know, monster to use. And then like maybe Jack Sparrow can be hunting this one. I actually don't know what the plot of Pirates of the Caribbean, but anywho, I would not recommend this as to any like dinosaur fan or something, because this isn't even close to scientific. And yeah, I know that they're not trying to be scientific, but if they're trying to like mutate the Liopleurodon, at least make it recognizable as a Liopleurodon. I mean, at least I could... Not final conclusion. I would not recommend this as Liopleurodon, but I would recommend it as like any other sea monster. I'm done. But despite me hating this, it doesn't mean I could take good pictures with it. So now that I'm thinking about it, it's quite surprising that I put more effort into these Liopleurodon photos than the photos I did with the Torvosaurus. And to be honest, I really like these photos. I'm thinking of doing more in the future with these kind of techniques. Since I have like Canva Pro and stuff, I can like do like a background removal and stuff, which means I could do stuff in green screen, which I am experimenting with. And although there's like 5 photos, I guess quality does overpower quantity. Anywho, I do apologize that this video was overdue. I mean, I was supposed to like upload it a week after the Torvosaurus review, but I ended up pushing the scheduled date a bit forward because of reasons. But if you want to see more reviews like this, make sure you comment down below what you want to see next, and I'll see if I could even make it possible. Although I do despise the Liopleurodon design, it does make its positives that it's still a creative sea monster. Till next time, bye bye.